Okay, so we've drawn a line, and mine is just slightly larger than A5 paper, and mine's 6 centimeters up, only because that's where I normally do it. And I'm going to wet my paper completely. So I'm going to use that size brush just for wetting the paper, and just brush some water on, nice and clean water all over. So it's got a sheen, but no puddles. Just keep going over till it's all evenly covered. That's it. And I'm not going to want that brush again because it's a bit big for this size paper. So we're going to do the sky. Whilst this is just settling down, I'm going to make a mix, because this is all dark, but I'm not using black or dark grey or Payne's grey even. I'm using cobalt blue and Indian red to make my dark. I'll pull out a little of the cobalt blue and then pull some Indian red out to go in it. Now that's way too red. So I pour some more blue in and a bit more red. And you can see it's getting darker. Yeah, so it's sort of a midnight purple we've got. And I need quite a bit for it because the whole painting is more or less done in this. So going back to our paper, I noticed that I managed to put my hand on it, so one bit of it's dry. So I'm just going to go over it just again, and I've got a brush that is actually molting at the moment. Right, so we've got the paper wet again, so I'm going to use quite a small, because it's a small piece of paper, I'm going to a small round mop. Get me hand ready to pick it up, and then drop some pigment in at the top, holding the paper so that it comes down. I'm using the brush on the side and coming diagonally across and letting that work its way down. I'm leaving this bit here because I want there's going to be a hill there or cliff, and I want to have some light behind there. So I'm just pulling it down. I have put a little bit more water on in places just to make it run. And I've got to sit there then, holding it so that it continues to come down. You can see where I don't know whether you can, where it's splitting back out into the blue and the red right at the end, which is lovely, which is what I wanted. So that's coming down towards the sea. And then I'm going to make a horizon just with a clean brush, clean and damp, just going underneath where it hits the water. I'm going to lay it down now so it stops coming down and just just stays hopefully where it is. Then with a small amount of the colour on the brush, I'm just going to brush in a little bit of sea. Leave a lot of white space, particularly over here and here, just so over in the right, put most of your colour and the rest of the white space. Ah. So whilst the sky is still wet, I'm going to lift out a little bit for the moon, or I lifted out a little bit for the moon using the scrunched up tissue and pressing it on to the where I wanted it. And then with a clean, damp brush, I lifted out the reflection just by drawing the brush down, pulling it down about halfway through the water. And I'm cleaning the brush in the tissue every time that I make a stroke down. If the moon doesn't look quite as white as you want, you can always use a little bit of white gouache, white acrylic, or some acrylic ink, and that will sort that out. So now that everything is completely dry, with my small round mop, I'm going to pick up that colour and start with a small cliff, and then if you need to reshape, it's fine. You've got room for it to grow. Keep it on that horizon line that you drew in. You can have it like the cliffs of Dover, where it goes straight down, or you can have it coming down in lumps. It's entirely up to you. And I'm going to make this the cliffs where the needles are in the Isle of Wight. So I've got some pointy shapes there and a bit of a headland. So put your cliff in, then whilst your paper or your cliffs are still wet, clean damp brush and just wiggle the bottom of that cliff, and that will give you a reflection, particularly if you make it to look like the cliff above it. So I've let that dry completely, and I have added a small lighthouse there, and then I'm going to try and lift some lines in the sea. So it's a clean damp brush, wiggle it backwards and forwards. This is, I think it's a pointed knob, no, a pointed, round pointed brush that I'm using. So I've wet a line, I've got a clean tissue, and I'm just going to go across it quickly, and that will mop up at the line that I have just created. So backwards and forwards. If this doesn't work, there's always acrylic or gouache. So I think we're heading into acrylic and gouache country. I'm just going to try another one there. Come on, out you come. And clean bit of tissue, and push. Oh, that one worked. And just clean tissue and just flick. Right, so where else can we have one? Here. Choose top spots in your C, because then they show up. So I'm doing it, trying to keep it fairly thin, agitating it, leave it a couple of seconds whilst I find a clean piece of tissue, and then pull. Pull quickly across, and you can see that it's started to. Now I've got a lot of whiteness there, which is fine. I want some, but I do not want all of it. So with the same brush, I'm going to draw or pull a line. Do you remember doing waves like this on a whole picture last year? Or was it this year? Last year. And then with a clean damp brush, just going underneath and blending it away until it's a tiniest line. Blend away, pulling it out further at the ends, blending that into the white that's underneath it. And you've got a little wave then. And I'm going to do another one just over here. Not directly above it. So it's a line with 2 lumps in it. Or you can have 3. And then with a clean damp brush, pull or blend underneath. Blend it away until it's just see it. And it looks as if it should be there. Blend each end. I had to turn it on the side when I'm doing that, otherwise I can't do it. So I'm sorry about that. That's it. I'm not going to put any more in of this. Oh, I might do. No, I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to find, I've got some white acrylic ink, which I use, or you can use white paint or gouache. And I'm going to brighten up my moon. So I've got my ink, I'll give it a good shake. But if you're using acrylic, water it down slightly. And same with gouache, although I do use gouache straight out of the tube. So clean damp brush, give it a bit of a stir, because it always has sediment. So I've now got white all over me, and I'm just going in round where my moon is. Now my moon is not there entirely because it's got clouds, so I'm going to leave that there because that's quite a feature that happened. And that's, oh, we still want that. I've just put one coat on. That will go, that will lose its bright white because it normally does. Then I need a smaller brush. That's too big. Right, I've got a little liner brush, which is a little stubby thing. But you can still use the other one. And I'm going to do it with the ink, a white line at the top of the C, just brushing it in, just to give it See, that's actually where the sea ends and the sky starts. So I've just done a very thin line. It's not going to sit out or stand out too much. And I'm going to do exactly the same underneath the cliff. So white acrylic, watered down a bit, is absolutely fine for this, because I'm sure that's all this is, acrylic ink. I've just gone underneath, right out to the, I don't think you can really see, but I think it's there. And then because it's me, I'm just going to do in white, I'm just going to do a lone seagull in the white. The last seagull out. His mum will be very upset because he's so late home. And I think that's it.